Welcome, everybody. It's great that Ajahn Barry is back with us again. He visits once a month. It's good to see him. He has an enormously long association with this meditation class, which is just nice at a sort of a personal level. But he's also trained in the Zen tradition, and of course was ordained as a monk in the Thai forest Theravada tradition. And also, of course, he before all of that, and now he practices as a layman. So there's a wealth of experience that he can bring to us this evening, which is just great. So good to see everybody, and welcome Barry as well. Now, what we're going to do, I think, is, and Ajahn Barry is quite happy with this, sort of get proceedings going with sort of a question, a topic that's cropped up. And it's cropped up, there's a whole rota of us who, during the winter retreat at Amaravati, this rota of lay people take the meditation workshop on Saturday afternoons. And I've done a few of those. And a question that has come up every time has been a question about pain. You know, how do I practice with pain? And actually, usually it's physical pain, although people, talk about emotional pain as well. And maybe this is due to the virus. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. There's a lot of illness around. So I guess the question that I've been trying to answer, and in a way, I'm fortunate that I can't answer properly because physical pain is a treat in store for me. I haven't had a lot of it, to tell you the truth. But it's an important topic, and I'm hoping that Barry can give a bit of guidance, please.
Well, I'll try to say something about it. First, I'll do the introductory chant, paying respects to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham nanam sangham namasami. I'd like to welcome everybody. It's very nice to see so many people. I'm not sure how many people, but I seem to have 3 screens full of people. Talking about, it's slightly tricky talking about pain. As one of the 2 of you know who have been to my sittings or other Zoom classes or throughout the years, I suppose, because basically I think it all comes down to one thing. There's this very nice Indian saying that pain is compulsory, but suffering from pain is optional. Suffering is compulsory, but suffering from suffering is optional. Many times we try to get away from pain. But it's compulsory. But whether we suffer from it or not, we have a choice there, a choice through clearly seeing, clearly being with, not adding or grasping the pain, grasping it or trying to reject it. And this is basically the essence of suffering from the Buddha's teachings. It's that attachment, that trying to attach, to change everything, to hold everything, to deny change. Or the opposite, the denial, getting rid of. I don't want this pain. I want to get rid of it. How can I get rid of it? But perhaps through being really at one with the way things are, knowing the truth of the way things are, we can stop adding on top of it. Many medics will say that the pain we experience is only the pain we think we experience is, well, I don't know how to put it, 20% of it is real pain. The other 80% is the pain of what we put on top of it. That's the attaching, that's the rejection. Now, I know these are fine words, but they're really worth reflecting upon, really worth, if there's nothing we can do with that pain, what's to be done? Use it. Not for me, not to grasp it or get rid of it, but just to look at it, just to get to know it, just to accept it. I have seen, been doing this for a few years, I have seen people who once they really meditate, as in being present in this moment, in the now, they let go. Remember, it's not them letting go. There is a natural letting go. And in that moment, their particular problem just went away. It dissipated. Because they were either holding on to it, because we do that. We'd rather be in pain than be somebody in pain. But if you let go of it, not clasping it, not grasping it, but just being with it, it can be that it just loses its power. Well, it's not the pain that has the power, but our mind. If our mind can naturally let go of this suffering, can be with it as it is, not adding to it, not trying to take away from it, but just being with it. Especially if there's nothing else we can do. So that's something we can do in a sense. I say in a sense because this is not anything to do with us, as in an ego. It's a matter of letting go. It's a matter of trusting the way it is. It's a matter of seeing the way it is. It's a matter of living with the way it is, bringing it into every action. Walking, as the Buddhist teacher said, meditation needs to be in the four postures: standing, walking, sitting, and lying down. Well, that includes all postures, whether working, winding your watch, cleaning your teeth, sitting, standing, walking. Just that awareness, just being with the way things are. This is what I call true mindfulness, not mindfulness as in, not mindfulness as in self-consciousness. I am doing this. I am drinking my tea. I am walking slowly. I'm doing this very mindfully. No, that's just practicing selfhood, basically. It's just adding to the self. But if we just do things for their own sake, being present, learning naturally by being present, When we are present, there is real, true awareness. I don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. If we are present, it happens itself. There cannot, as I said earlier, there cannot be two things in one place at one time. So when there is awareness, I can feel my seat on the cushion here. That is what is aware. That is the awareness. And when there is that awareness, the mind is not rejecting or trying to improve or become something, become a good meditator, become enlightened, get away from this pain, alter this, let go of this. It's not interfering. There just is the way it is. And when this becomes normal, wisdom starts to arise. Wisdom of the way it is. Wisdom that this is a natural healing process. The problem is we are in the way. It's not a matter of improving everything, getting things to improve everything. It's a matter of letting go of these things, getting out of the way. And then things can start to heal the ruts in the mind where we go on these obsessions or escape routes or views and opinions start to close up. Not something we can do because it's got nothing to do with our thinking, analytical, conditioned, grasping mind. Letting go. Buddhism, for me, is about letting go. You cannot become enlightened. You cannot awaken because we are awakened. But we tend to not want to realize that in a sense because we're so conditioned that as humans we're so clever so we can sort out every problem. So that just letting go, being with the pain. Now this is not about self-flagellation. It's not about beating ourselves, pushing ourselves through the pain, through the suffering. It's about seeing it and taking appropriate action from that place of pure knowing. And then you do something if you know it's going to ease that pain. I mean, I can only give an example of sitting on a cushion or something like this. If it's becoming a problem, move. But don't react, respond. Get to know, get to not try to escape from every discomfort or hang on to things, but become responsive, not reactive. So what I generally do with the guided meditations is do a sweeping meditation through the body, using parts of the body. Now, I personally find this, especially doing this type of group, because there can be no one-to-one. I mean, I find this extremely successful, and I've done this myself for many years. It's not really about the meditation. It's not really about, if I say, be aware of the top of the head. What it's about is when we shift our attention, there's a stopping, there's a space. Now that space is the important thing. It's no thing, it's nothing. And this is where people tend to dismiss it because it's nothing. But it's very, very important. to allow us to get to know that space. And in that space, from that space, we can get to really see what suffering is. Because it's very difficult to know suffering from a place of suffering. That suffering is from samsara. We create a world in our conditioned mind. But if we step back from that conditioned mind, we can truly see the suffering and the problems we cause. So getting to trust that place, getting to live from that place. So when I go through the body, this isn't about concentrating. This is just about being aware. The mind will naturally wander. That's what the mind does. It's divisive by nature. And it always will. But you don't have to believe it. At the moment, many of us believe we are what we think. We believe we are the thoughts we have. But no, go back, step back, get perspective. So as I say, I'll mention different parts of the body. No need to concentrate. Just feel. If I say the hands, don't project a picture of the hands. Go to the hands. If there is a slight projection, just retreat a little bit into that awareness that happens when we shift our attention. Getting to know, getting to trust, noticing that from that place, there can be thinking, there can be seeing, there can be responding. But it's not the normal way we do it. We're not grabbed around by the scruff of the neck by Mara. We're free of Mara for that time that we are present. So learning to practice with it, learning to become that awareness, learning to naturally let go. We can't let go, but there is a letting go when we are mindful, when we are truly aware. So sitting in a reasonably comfortable posture, one that helps to keep you aware. Ideally, hands together, but there's not whatever you're used to. Eyes slitted, ideally, but again, if you're used to sitting with them wide open or closed, fine. Whatever works for you. Also, experiment. See what is easier for you this evening might not be easy for you tomorrow. So instead of just persevering, trying to perfect one technique, use whatever. Use the feet. Be aware of the feet. Be aware of the hands, the eyes, whatever. It doesn't matter. Awareness is awareness. And when there is awareness, true awareness, there is no self. When you're not creating samsara, you can't fix the problem with the problem. I mean, you can't fix samsara with samsara. So this is simple, just about being aware, just about learning to trust that I don't have to hang on and improve. But all I am interested in is just being. So sitting in that reasonably comfortable, aware posture, I'll ring the bell three times, and if you feel yourself going a little deeper, a little quieter each time, And we'll sit for, say, 25 minutes. So just relaxing, noticing the peace, the harmony. There's nothing to think about here. There's nothing to get. There's nothing to become. So becoming aware of the body from the tips of the toes to the top of the head. Just being aware, not projecting, not focusing on different parts of the body, not trying to alter anything, just in awareness. And crucially, noticing when there is awareness, there's a stopping of the thought process. The thinking stops, but awareness is clearly there. So becoming aware at the top of the head. You don't have to be actually aware of a part of the body. What's important is the awareness when we are present, when we move our attention to the top of the head. What does the mind do? So letting that awareness spread down the back of the head. Becoming aware of the sides of the head. And the ears, becoming aware of the ears. If you can't be aware of the ears, it's not important at all. But as I keep saying, what is important is noticing how the neurotic mind stops. Now becoming aware of the face. the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyelids and the eyelashes. Just looking. And the eyes, becoming aware of the eyes. So now becoming aware of the nose and the nostrils. Becoming aware of the lips, the mouth, the tongue. Just noticing the results of moving your attention. Being aware of the chin. And the jaw. The cheeks of the face. If the mind goes off on a trip, just gently come back. Don't beat yourself up in any way, just that's what the mind does. So just gently come back and always noticing when we return. Noticing how is it? How is the mind? How is the heart mind? Now bringing into your attention the whole of the face, the head, the sides of the head, the ears, the back of the head. Now becoming aware of the neck, from the head down to the neck, right around the neck and the throat. Letting that awareness spread down from the neck into the shoulders. Not interfering with parts of the body. Trying to adjust, trying to make them feel better. No, just being aware of, nothing more. Now allowing that awareness to spread down from the shoulders down to the elbows, through the upper arms, the front of the arms, the sides of the arms, and the back of the arms. Just noticing that awareness, that pure awareness. Not interfered with, not held on to. So now becoming aware of the forearms from the shoulders down to the wrists, from the elbows down to the wrists. Becoming aware of the hands, the back of the hands, the sides of the hands, the fingers, the knuckles, the joints of the fingers, the tips of the fingers, and the fingernails. Just spend some time with the fingernails. Just don't project a picture of them. If you do, just back off a little bit into that quiet awareness. Now becoming aware of the palms of the hands from the wrists, the palms of the hands, the thumbs, the joints of the fingers, the tips of the fingers. Now bringing into your consciousness, your awareness, your bare attention, your mindfulness, whatever you want to call it, your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your neck, your head, and your face. Now letting that awareness spread down the back, from the shoulders down the back, through the shoulder blades, the sides of the trunk, down the back, down the spine. the arch of the back, the lower back, the coccyx, the buttocks, and the hips. Gently returning the mind if it wanders. Returning it, letting it return to that awareness, that bare attention. Now bringing into your consciousness, your awareness, the whole of the back from the hips to the shoulders, the hands to the shoulders, the neck, the head, and the face. Just noticing, just being aware of that awareness, that beingness. So now letting that awareness spread down the chest, through the rib cage, the sides of the trunk, the diaphragm, the stomach, the solar plexus, the navel, just below the navel called the hara, the intestines, and the groin, and the hips. Now bring into your awareness the whole of the trunk of your body, the front, the back, the shoulders, the hands, the arms, the neck, the head, and the face. Nothing to do, only to be aware. Just being with that awareness, not forcibly. Now letting that awareness spread down from the hips, down the legs, down to the knees, the upper legs, the sides, the top of the leg and the back of the legs. If there's discomfort there, look at that discomfort. If you need to move, move, but don't react. Respond, look at it first. Investigate it by just looking at it. Not figuring things out, but just responding. So allowing that awareness to spread down from the knees, down to the lower legs, the shins, the sides of the legs, the back of the legs. And that awareness spreading down from the ankles, down the top of the feet. The sides of the feet. The toes, the joints of the toes, the tips of the toes, and the toenails. Becoming aware of the heels of the feet, the soles of the feet, the arch of the feet, the balls of the feet, the joints of the toes and the tips of the toes. Now bringing into your consciousness, your awareness, your mindfulness, the whole of the body from the tips of the toes to the top of the head. Not trying to picture anything, to project any picture onto it. Just awareness, sitting in that awareness that isn't dumb, it's not stupid, it's very, very aware. Becoming aware of the breath. Not following the breath, just being aware of the natural breathing. When there is awareness, there is awareness. When there is awareness, there's a knowing of our true refuge. If you practice with the sounds of silence, the sound of silence, just be with that. Don't download sounds, just know them. But always being with that place of true presence. So I'll end the session in a very short time, but don't think in terms of meditation ending. Meditation needs to be brought into all aspects of life, so you can know this place, this true refuge, in any situation, in any posture. Please stretch if you need to. But I encourage that same awareness, no matter what we're doing, whether we're sitting still quietly or moving, stretching. There is never not a reason to be aware. There is always that opportunity in everything we do. Turn life into the practice. Let it become real, not just the thing we do. I meditate. But Buddhism is about liberation. Liberation from suffering, from the suffering that we create in our mind. As I said to start with, there will always be suffering is a fact. But do I have to add on top of that with sankharas? Do I have to add my own stuff on top of what is? And what is a lot better than what we add on top of it. That clarity of seeing things the way they are. Letting go. They say there's a famous Zen teaching of the ox herding pictures. And at one part it says, I think it might be in the beginning, there's nothing to get, there's nothing to gain, there's nobody to become, and there's nothing to search for, but search we must. But as far as I can see, this searching comes from somewhere different. It's not the searching that the self does, which has to be adding to the problem. The self can't fix the self. But if we search within that place of knowingness, of true awareness, the search can be answered naturally. We plant seeds. We plant seeds of the Dharma. And when we do step back, when we do get out of the way of this greedy, deluded self, those seeds can germinate and grow and blossom. But it's quite rare. It's quite rare for people to think in terms of letting go, because we're so conditioned by society, by our parents, by everything, to gain, to get, to become something else, to become happy, more successful, to become enlightened, to become a good meditator. But we don't seem to look at what Buddhism is actually saying. It's not advocating grasping, quite the opposite. It's not advocating trying to get away from, quite the opposite. It's saying, be aware, be mindful, be truly mindful. and see how it is. See, or as like Luang Por Sumedho puts it, be the Buddha, knowing the Dhamma. The Buddha is the one who knows. And we're not talking about an historical figure here. We're talking about our own nature. The Buddha is the one who knows, and the Dhamma is the way it is. Be the Buddha, knowing the Dhamma. It's up to us. We can't rely on the teachings. We can't rely on teachers. It has to be up to us, so to speak, to really become aware. And in that awareness, letting go. And then seeing the truth of the way it is. And then all the teachings start to really blossom, start to really make sense, and allow for real change, so to speak. But don't grasp that change as in I will be this or that. This is just more concepts, more ideas. Always getting to know that our true nature, our true non-self, our true Buddha nature, whichever traditional there is. They all say it in different ways. But find out for ourselves. So we'll sit for another period. I'll just give the occasional reminder to come back to the present moment. And then I very much encourage any questions, just in case I'm not that clear on what I'm saying, or perhaps it's maybe a little different from maybe the way you read scripture or other people say things. So when the mind wanders, just gently, with loving kindness, come back to the body or a particular part of the body, or the breathing, or the sounds, or the sound of silence, or just being. Shifting the attention. Sometimes it's better to move the attention around than try to stick to one place, which can be frustrating, not particularly successful, but by shifting, we get to know this place of real awareness. I say a good meditator has many tools in the toolbox, using different ones as required, but not to get something, but just for its own sake. Becoming familiar with that place of awareness, true awareness, that we don't have to cling or attach. In that place of awareness, there is nothing to attach to. There just is isness. So just gently coming back when the mind wanders. It's what the mind does. But we don't have to give it fuel by trying to alter it, trying to stop it. Just come back to the present moment. When there is awareness, there is awareness. If tiredness is creeping up on you, just add a little bit more energy in the body to help with the awareness. Purely to help with the awareness, not to become, not to be more stable, not to be more anything, just so we are aware. stop there so give people a chance to ask any questions. I notice there's some chats that I can't quite see. Let's have a look. This is a question from somebody whose friend has died of alcoholism. Basically, do I have any pointers on how to deal with this? As far as practice go, for me, everything comes back to the same thing. The self is in the way, so to speak. It's controlling. Mara is in control. Mara creates the world. And it's got us by the throat. So things like when we're in grief, friends die, pets die, friends, relationships break up. Death is, I know, these are easy words. They are just words. Death is inevitable. We're going to die at some point. Every compounded thing is subject to change. It's a fact. When a friend dies, do we see that clearly? Do we hang on to that grief? Grief is a normal, natural human emotion. We would hardly be human if we didn't grieve. I always like this little Zen story that I've told several times in previous, of a Zen master. He's at a funeral of a friend of his, and there are many other Zen masters and laymen there. And the Zen master starts crying. So this other man says to him, "What are you doing? Why are you crying? You're a Zen master. You're supposed to be beyond such things." He says, "It's because I am a Zen master that I can cry." This is about being human. It's not about being a cabbage with no feelings. It's not about denying the emotions. It's about understanding them clearly, grieving, going through that grief and not hanging on to it. Some people ruin their life when a friend dies, a mother dies, a father dies. They hang on to it for the rest of their lives. Grieve that grief. Let it go. Not get rid of it. Just do the grieving process, so to speak. Be human. Know that. More I cannot say. Does anybody have any questions at all?
Maybe people could unmute. Sometimes it's easier just to ask a question than to write in chat. Wongdu, can you unmute people? please. Oh. Allow part to move himself, yes.
Good evening. I do have a question.
Can
you see me?
I can hear you. I'm not sure.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for this evening, and thanks everyone for being here. Reflecting on what you said, I realized that I often use the words consciousness and awareness almost interchangeably, as if they meant the same thing. So the difference is not entirely clear to me yet. So would you say that consciousness is bound up with thinking? The consciousness is thinking, and a sense of self, that there is a self thinking and doing things, whereas awareness is being. And apologies if I'm phrasing this in a simplistic way.
No. Well, I wouldn't say, I don't see a difference, but I wouldn't go along with consciousness is self. Consciousness is prior to anything we add on top of it. So then it is not awareness and it's not consciousness. Once we, from the teachings, mindfulness is the path of the deathless. Heedlessness is the path to death. So there's no consciousness in what they're saying is death. And what we live normally is classed as death because we're not really alive, because we're in this dream, mind-created world. Things are as they are, but we pile our views and opinions, our ideas on top of everything. So I would say, yes, they are the same. But this deluded way that we act from and believe we are is something different. It's an illusion, basically, which needs to be seen through consciousness or awareness. These are just names. They're just words. And most of them seem to come down to the same thing as far as I'm concerned. Call it awareness, bare attention, consciousness, mindfulness. It goes on. Well, let's really find out for ourselves. Let's really look. Let's stop. Let's just stop. Feel. When I do that, I actually can't give it a word. I'll say, whilst taking this class, I'll call it a name, but in actual fact, it has no name. So getting to know that. Yeah, does that help?
Yes, thank you so much.
Can you see another one there? Another chat there, Barry? Can you see that?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's not really a question. It's somebody saying their experience of friends dying from alcoholism again. And they seem to have responded to what I have said before, in a sense. Accept and feel the pain and let go. But remembering that letting go is not us letting go. It won't work. We tend to try that way all the time. But it's as simple as being truly mindful in the moment. And then there is a real letting go. But it's not something I can do because I am the problem, so to speak. So as soon as I look somewhere else in the present moment, there is an automatic letting go.
I have a chat here. I don't know whether you can see it. Shall I?
Yeah, please do.
Right. Well, this is one from Ben. And he's saying, some youths tried to rob me this week unsuccessfully and could have killed me. And then he asks, how do I avoid feeling angry and bitter? And I'd add to that, not that I've been robbed recently, but avoid, feeling pretty anxious and frightened about stepping outside my front door. But he asks about, how do you avoid feeling angry or bitter?
Well, you can't avoid it. It's what is. It is the way it is. There's anger and bitterness and perhaps fear. But we can learn to look prior to the creation of this fear, anger, this by coming back. You see, I'm always saying the same thing because it all starts, the whole thing starts from ignorance. We live from a place of ignorance in the Praticca Samuppada, the 12-fold path. We live, the first one is avijja, which is ignorance. So until we are no longer ignorant of the way it is, there will always be problems, and we'll always create problems around these things. Yes, I mean, it's suffering, it's fear, and we can't get away from it. We try to, and this is part of the problem, but we can really open it up to it and know it and not add to it. It's difficult. It's, we're sensitive human beings. We're not stones, or as I said earlier, we're not cabbages. We're going to feel fear and anger, but we don't have to add sankharas. We don't have to add problems on top of those problems. They're real problems. Be with them. Get to know them. Act from, sometimes we need to restrain. We need to, as old teacher might say, like riding a horse. If the horse is going too slow, you have to get up. You have to get it going a bit. If it's out of control, you have to rein it in. With these emotions, don't get carried away by them. Don't try and get rid of them. Be with them and slightly hold back if you're really, say, your anger or if you're fearful. Slightly push it the other way. Go against the grain to a degree. But don't hold on to these things. Get to know that place that is at peace and is a true refuge. And the answers come from there. I can't give you answers on that. I can only suggest to you that you try getting to know that is prior to the thinking process. And then your answers will be much clearer. And you'll have much more idea on which way to go, on how to respond. But don't look to anybody for these questions. Know that place prior to the thinking process, prior to this neurotic thinking process. Now, that doesn't mean to say that it's the end of thought. Because say in the Theravadins, it's reaching the silent thinker. I notice that in my meditation, if formal meditation I'm talking about, because I consider meditation always, if my mind is out of control, I'm thinking, I'm going this way, I'm worrying about this. But if there is awareness, a thought can come up. And I can think that thought through, but then it ends, it finishes, and it doesn't go automatically onto the next thought, the next thought, the next thought, which is how we normally are. So this is not about being dumb or stupid. It's about thinking from clarity, not from delusion and illusion and confusion. I don't know if that helps. I hope it does a little bit. But really we need to get to know that place that it is in harmony, is in equanimity, is truly loving, is truly kind. Because once you start to see this, there's no separation. We understand other people because we are other people. There's no difference between us. Our conditioning is perhaps different, but ultimately, there is no difference. No more chats, was there?
No, I don't have any here. Are there any more questions at all? Well, while we're thinking about this, let me tell you about what's happening next. Next week is the last class of these classes before the Easter break. And then teaching at the Buddhist Society stops for, I think it's about 3 weeks. And so the first class, this class, Basic Meditation, is on April the 22nd. And then Ajahn Barry will be back the week after that, which it will be April the 29th, if I can do my maths. So that's what's in store. And if you're new to this class, apart from when the Buddhist Society just kind of closes for like Christmas, or in this case Easter, and they have a summer break as well, it's every week at 6:30, and Ajahn Barry will kindly says he'll teach the last one every month for us. And that's what happens, and everybody's very welcome. You don't have to be a member of the Buddhist Society or anything like that. You know, you can be a complete beginner or fully enlightened. We're not fussy about who comes to this class. So I'm sort of assuming that there are no more questions. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for coming, and particularly to Ajahn Barry for spending the evening with us. It's very kind of you. Thank you so much. And to everybody else, see you next week, I hope. Stay safe until then.
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you very much.
I wish everybody well. And as I normally say, not to forget to remember to come back. It's keep it simple. Just be aware and let the healing, so to speak, will happen of its own accord.